Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Common Good Podcast. Doug Padgett here. Rob Ryersey. Hey, Rob, I know we like talking about the weather. It's going to be beautiful, 82 and summery in Minneapolis today. I don't know what it's like somewhere outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas. But I will say this. I know I'm just an old man yelling at the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually quite irritating that Donald Trump just screws up everything. Just his ability to just break and ruin and just shit on things that we think are good. Like, not a part of the normal political process. Just honestly, it is irritating to me that all these years still dealing with this guy. And I know Americans voted for him. I know people love him and all the rest, but I'm tired and fed up. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Oh, there you go, Dave Ramsey. Well,
how you doing?
Doug and we normally have like the happy talk at the beginning, and we give people the chance to set in. You're not feeling happy talk, Doug. I did something yesterday I've never done before.
Congratulations.
I had a colonoscopy.
Wow.
Yeah, big day. I gotta tell you. So I had the liquid to drink the night before, and then that gets your body prepared for the colonoscopy.
Okay.
That's what I had heard the horror stories about.
Really?
I was like, that's all you got?
Well, not so bad. I'm ready for this.
Yeah. This was an average Thursday. Then went in and had the colonoscopy. Removed a couple of polyps. Everything looked good. Everything looked fine. Totally routine. And then the doctor steps away. And then he steps back in and he says, actually...
On second thought,
said procedure's a little bit difficult because your colon is kind of loopy.
Loopy.
Okay. Loopy. There's loops. I got like a roller coaster happening in my colon, Doug.
Oh, okay.
There's loops, loop to loops. It even like on the paperwork, it procedure was difficult because of looping. I got like a whole carnival happening in my colon.
So is he suggesting that you take another pass, come back in with the crazy straw and try to follow along your colon? Remember the crazy straws when we were kids? There was a time when my joy was accomplished by a crazy straw. And the idea of him using it for your colonoscopy is perfect.
Yeah. And I only have one kidney. So, there's, you didn't know that? Did you know that? You knew that.
I feel like I did, but not because you gave it away to someone in need, because you just started out missing one.
No. It had nothing to do with, my goodness and gratitude.
Your generosity.
No, so maybe there's extra room in there for the colon to just kind of spread out a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Did you not instantly go onto ChatGPT and ask about a loopy colon? Because
I was a little loopy from the medication that they had given me.
Okay.
So I'll have to check that out today.
Well, I hope it all works out, because honestly, I've never had a colonoscopy. I will, I'm sure. Have a big doctor's appointment on Friday where they're supposed to check out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a word for that. It's general physical. I'm having one of those. I don't get those very often. So, could have dire news next Tuesday on the podcast. Let's hope not. No, I don't remember what I was saying because the word polyp.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the word moist is for other people. Like,
you don't like the word polyp? Polyp.
Yeah, I picture it and somehow
I do have pictures.
Dude, if you text that to me, I will have to block your number. I can't see a polyp. I guess if I were gonna loop this back in, Trump is a bit of a polyp on the presidency. He's like a recurring polyp.
Yes, polyp that has been around long enough that it is gone from benign to malignant.
All right. Yes. Hey, so I got these new headphones for this little project that we do here.
Yeah.
And the whole point of them is I wanted to get that cord out of my face. And if people are watching right now, they can see I'm fussing with this thing. So I got these kind that go over your ears, and then they come behind your head. And I took them off and then put them back on. And then I put them on wrong, so the cable was still hanging in front of my face. Just like a dog returns to his vomit, so does the book of Proverbs remind us. Sometimes you just can't shake it. You can't shake your own nonsense. Look, who would have, since our last podcast, 3 different times, one time you said to me and 2 times I thought of saying to you, we should probably go live right now with the podcast. This is so monumental. Just in the last week.
Well, I mean, my desire to do that was over the conscious decoupling of the, which is my favorite breakup phrase. Was it the lead singer of the U2 knockoff band Coldplay, and Gwyneth Paltrow when they divorced. They were, I think they were married. And they said that when they put out their press release, they said they were going through a conscious decoupling. That was how they described it. So we had a conscious decoupling happen on the national scale last week.
Children,
which I found
emotional,
absolutely hilarious.
Children. Okay, I'm just going to rant for a minute about the people from the communities that you and I have come from the culture protectors, from the culture warriors who used to lecture us. Even the single gentleman from South Carolina who lectured us in the 1990s about the importance of the quality of the person who's in the presidency and their personal leadership is what the country needs. In critiquing the behavior, totally outrageous, inappropriate, wrong, immoral behavior, abusive behavior of Bill Clinton. Lectured nonstop. About the need to return integrity to the White House and all the other pieces. You have 2 men in Donald Trump and Elon Musk who, no matter what you say about their purported business successes, and lots of ways to argue this. One person getting hundreds of millions of dollars from his father and squandering that to the point that now, based on inflation, he has less money than when he was 25 years old. That guy, great business mind. Or Elon Musk, who all of his wealth to claim him as the wealthiest man in the world. It's not in cash. It's all in stock evaluations, which is not real money. If he decided to turn that into U.S. dollars, the stock of Tesla, SpaceX would collapse. So there's a game by which we play. Somebody has more credits than others, and he has a bunch of credits. Biggest investor in Tesla, not the founder, not the inventor. SpaceX is just a government boondoggle. It's just a government contractor. These 2 cats, many women that they have chosen to marry and procreate with, terrible parents by the admission of their children, in Donald Trump's case, their spouses or baby mamas in the other cases. These men of such low quality, such immature behavior, one clearly by reporting a drug-addicted president, and by other accounts, a drug-addicted owner of stock portfolios. A ketamine juiced up tech bro can't get along because the big billionaire bill is going to remove a primary means of cash flow for Tesla, which is selling offset credits, which works like this, friends. Car manufacturers have to meet certain mileage standards, but they put all the car manufacturers in the United States together into a big pool and say, all of you have to reach a certain mileage standard. So the electric vehicles have lots of credit because they don't burn any fossil fuels. Then they sell those credits to the other car manufacturers because the government has said you have to reach these standards. And if you can't, then you have to pay a big fine and buy them from someone else. So Tesla has existed again off government mandates, moving private money from one company to another. That's how Tesla has done it. The big billionaire bill removes the demand for car companies to meet those mileage credits, which means Tesla is not going to be selling its offsets any longer. And once Elon Musk realized that the government money that has been bankrolling his boondoggle was going away, he got crybaby about it. Not the time that he took money from food banks. Not the time he took money from USAID, which helps impoverished peoples around the world. Not the time he took money from the national parks. Not the time he fired thousands of government employees that now have to be hired back in a huge waste of money. Thought that was what he was sent to Washington to do. And that guy, not elected by anybody, I don't even know if liked by anyone any longer, but that guy is in a big crybaby match with the other crybaby who, even though he was elected president again, will never be satisfied and will break everything. So these two men start telling the truth about each other. And that, Rob, was what made me smile last week.
Yeah. It was just so funny to watch. The bomb drop of Donald Trump is in the Epstein Files, and that's why they haven't been released, which was tragic if true, but also, like, if you follow all of this and you follow the conspiracy theory stuff around child trafficking and Epstein Files and all of it, the people that cry the loudest about that tend to also be Trump, like major Trump supporters. So there was, some amusement there. Some, what's that German word? Schreuden something or other.
Fruden.
Could probably just make those
just make Fruden sounds.
Yeah, and probably get close enough that it would be all right. To Steve Bannon suggesting that Elon Musk should be deported, which was hilarious. Elon Musk suggesting that Donald Trump should be impeached. Donald Trump threatening all of like saying that Elon Musk, the way to save billions of dollars in the federal budget is to cancel Elon Musk's um, government contracts for his companies. All of this stuff happening. It's just it was so hilarious to watch the conscious decoupling happening in real time in front of all of us, just like we all expected it to happen. It was, it was great. And I feel like we can't even take the time now, just a few days later.
That's it.
This was not a long time ago.
No.
This is not ancient history. This is not a like VH1 behind the music where now years and years later we're finding out what happened, in the White House. Really, it's mere days later. We can't even take the time to really dig in and savor the juiciness of the complete debacle that happened with Donald Trump and Elon Musk because Donald Trump decided to light the world on fire.
Yes. When they decided to ostensibly go find the gang members and criminals, they insinuated, told us, promised it was going to be criminals. Not day laborers in the Home Depot parking lot.
Yep.
Not servers at a small cafe in Kansas.
Listen.
Not children at their schools. They told us that we were being reactionary and we were suffering from some Trump derangement syndrome when we said, you're going to deport 10 million people? You think there's 10 million criminals? Oh, we will call you all criminals if you're in this country without authorization. If you come in this country without proper documentation, you therefore are a criminal. What do you think should have happened then to Melania Trump, who lied on her visa and overstayed it? And the person pushing this
overstay his visa as well.
I don't know. And the person pushing this is literally a felon. That's why it is so clear that we have crossed in to an authoritarian presidency in the United States. And look, authoritarianism in the U.S., it's not going to look like authoritarianism, I don't know, in Italy in the 1930s or Germany in the 1930s or North Korea in the since 1958s. It's going to look distinctly American. And you know what that will look like? Trying to shut down education systems. Banning books that can be read by people in the military academies. Banning books. Telling people what can't be read. Threatening to jail other elected officials. And when asked, what crime would you charge Gavin Newsom, the governor of California? What crime would you charge him with? When you're in a press conference as the sitting president of the United States, and you as the president of the United States say, well, I think the biggest crime is that he ran for governor because he did such a terrible job. You float out, oh, I think we should listen to our director of Homeland Security and consider arresting him for interfering with federal orders. Well, how is he done that. Well, the real crime is that he ran for governor at all. Just floating that out there. The chief law enforcement officer who pardoned the criminals who ran a riot against the United States Capitol.
Yep.
Now, you can say all you want, and I posted something yesterday, and all the same stuff. Babies and riots and all the rest of it. You don't care about any of it. Because if it's your cat, your guy, a little authoritarianism goes a long way. And that is how we're in this situation. And then after you attack the judiciary, after you go after the departments of education, after you go after educational institutions, after you start to shut down free speech, after you gather up people on the street who are residents of the United States, after you say we don't have time for all criminals to receive due process, then you send the United States Marines into a United States city. The Marines. U.S. soldiers being deployed on U.S. soil. What are the Marines trained to do? They're not trained to
say the U.S. military is about killing people and breaking things.
Who used to say that?
Rush Limbaugh.
That's what they're designed to do. And we honor that so much, they're going to get a parade. And they get to get on Delta airline flights before everybody else. Because we honor that so much. You're willing to risk your life. I mean, different than firefighters, different than healthcare workers, different than local police, different than county police, different than state police. You don't get to get on the airplane early. You don't get honored with a parade.
Like
you
that airplane thing's a real it's a real hang up for you. Huh?
It's on point. That we say to ourselves, let's make sure that the military, with their unique role in the world, the most lethal killing force humans have ever created, send them into Los Angeles to put down riots that don't exist. The first time in my lifetime and the second time in my wife's lifetime, a woman who is shining bright in her 60th year, the second time in her lifetime that a president has taken over the National Guard and deployed it against the will of state governors. The other time was to integrate schools. This time, it was to arrest day workers in a Home Depot parking lot. ICE officials in riot gear with their faces covered, snatching people off of private property and holding them without charge. Donald Trump's America. Now, you can tell yourself, we need it all you want. But if you don't accept the fact that he did it and accept the fact that that is America, on the 10th of June, look, Rob, you know how long it took, Rob, for us to get to the dystopian world that we all said was going to happen? 139 days of the Trump administration. 139 days. Spring. Yeah. What do you think's going to happen for the next 1,286 days of this presidency? You think he's going to do less of this?
Yeah. So a couple of things that as we take a look at what's happening in Los Angeles, there's a few things that kind of stand out to me that just want to note. Um, One is the use of the word insurrectionists. Um, the protesters slash rioters, whatever you want to call them, um, in Los Angeles have been called insurrectionists by Donald Trump and other people in his administration. That's intentional
Yes.
and significant.
Because
It's intentional for two reasons. First of all, there's the just the political optics of being able to, tag some other group as insurrectionists other than Trump supporters who after January 6th were, rightfully called insurrectionists. That was the term that stuck in describing what took place on January 6th because it was the correct term. And so there's the trying to say, oh, well, you see, you have insurrectionists too. More significantly than that, the second reason this term is being used is because if there's the ability to tag this as an insurrection, that opens up the legal justification for the president of the United States to use um, deployment of the United States military on U.S. soil. So we absolutely have to resist the calling of this an insurrection. Listen, the United States of America has had protests, riots, civil unrest in our cities for many, many, many years. Uh, and often it is a symptom of some unaddressed, deeper problem that exists in our society, in our culture. When Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, it led to riots in American cities. Um, when George Floyd was murdered by a police officer, it led to riots in American cities. When there have been verdicts in cases that have brought about injustice, that has caused riots in American cities. You might notice that there is a theme here of these riots breaking out in response to racial tension and the inequality that exists in our country. Typically, that is African Americans, Black Americans that are leading those protests. What's interesting here is that this is not spurred by injustice against Black Americans, but instead spurred by injustice against Americans, people in our country who are Hispanic, Latino, and so I just point all this out that when we have unresolved racial conflict in our country, led by the prejudice of white people in power, it often leads to large-scale protests in American cities. That's what happens. We have done this before. We can do this now. We will probably do this again. To send in the United States military in response is, number one, a complete misunderstanding of what's happening. Number two, a totally inappropriate and over the top overreaction by an administration that is unqualified and in over their heads.
Yep.
I think, I also think and we saw this during the George Floyd protests. There are bad actors who
totally
who are involved in these things to gin up the crowd, to spark further violence, and there was in Minneapolis, there was the video of the police officer dressed up like a protester breaking windows. Like all of this stuff happens.
Yep.
And to think that it's not happening now in Los Angeles, I think is foolhardy as well.
Yeah, and look, and what Donald Trump is trying to do is to send a message that if you interfere by protest with the actions of ICE to gather people up, gather up residents of the United States and to incarcerate them, if you interfere with that, we will declare you an enemy of the state.
Yeah.
And we will push for the Insurrection Act to be invoked, which allows the president to do all kinds of things that the president is not allowed to do in any other setting. This is what they want. They're not distracting from the other problems that we talked about yesterday, in my view. That's not what this is. This is first opportunity to build a case for why the president can declare powers to be his that are not normally within the reach of the presidency. That's what they're up to. The First Amendment, the very first thing to clarify the Constitution, the first words to all my Second Amendment friends that are watching and listening, you care a lot about the right to bear arms. You know what right is enumerated before that in the First Amendment? I don't know if the numbers matter to you. First and Second and Third, 14th, 13th Amendments. Congress shall make no law. And that has come to mean the president can do nothing that would accomplish the same goals as a law.
Yes. Yeah, Congress is a placeholder for the entirety of the federal government.
Shall make no law and no action abridging the freedom and the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition their government. Yeah, but they're being violent. Deal with the people who are being violent. Happens all the time. Look, on January 6th, 2021, there were thousands of people there peaceably assembling, and hundreds who were beating police officers and breaking into the building. Those people were pursued and arrested and sent to jail. And then Donald Trump pardoned them. You can do this. What Trump is doing in Los Angeles is saying the Los Angeles Police Department, the men and women in blue, can't do the job.
Yep. Back the blue.
He says they can't do it. Not good enough. Can't accomplish it.
Yep.
So they send in a bunch of 23-year-olds,
yeah,
the National Guard, and a bunch of very nice people who are running their hardware store and decided to sign up for the National Guard so they could be helpful. Not to solve the fires and the devastation that came from the fires. Not to protect the people living on the streets without housing. to enforce a federal government policy. That's what you don't get to do. Because if protesters want to petition their government, and look, if a law enforcement officer shows up and you are protesting their action, you can't be arrested for that. They will tell you you can, but it is your right to protest it. It is not your right to beat them. It is not your right to vandalize. It's not your right to break windows and steal stuff. That's criminal activity. Now, I'm one who gives absolutely no, violence is the voice of the unheard. Those people doing that, they're not being violent because they're unheard. They're being violent because they want to be violent. They want to break things. They may have their reasons, good reasons or not reasons. In the First Amendment, 257 years ago, they said peaceably assemble. That's an important part of petitioning your government. You know why they knew that? Because they had just gotten done a decade and a half earlier running a violent petition of their government. They're like, okay, you can petition your government. You don't get to break windows and tear down a Target. I mean, look, I stood in Minneapolis at the front door of that Target watching the sprinkler systems rain down and people come rolling out of there looting the place. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear who was what.
Yep.
There was a slight argument to be made that everything inside that Target was going to be destroyed because the sprinklers were going off. And people were like, not letting that
actually rescuing this stuff.
I'm not letting that TV go to the landfill. I'm just like, it's no longer,
It was environmental action that was taking place.
Don't know how to wrap my head around that. But the people that broke the windows, the people that burned the cars, you deal with those. Rob, I went over to a Guitar Center yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I like to find my way into an occasional Guitar Center. I'm in the parking lot. This is the Guitar Center I go to a lot, and I know the people that work there. Getting out of my car, walking toward the building, I see the front door of the Guitar Center come flying open. And there is what seems to me to be a late teenage boy in full sprint with a flying V guitar in his hand. That's the Kiss kind of guitar.
Yeah.
And right behind him is Brendan, the manager of Guitar Center, screaming, "Give me back that guitar!" And they are in full sprint through the parking lot. That young kid is running toward a car. Brendan is gaining on him. Didn't think he had a chance to catch him. He closed in on him, circled him around the car. The kid finally slips, can't get in the car. Brendan grabs the guitar. He's yelling while he's running, like, "Just give me back the guitar and I won't call the police." And the kid is just running and he grabs it and gets the guitar and the guitar gets scraped on the ground and he picks it up and takes it from him. Brendan just yells at the kid and walks back. It's just criminal looting. It was just a crime. Right. He just stole a guitar from the guitar shop.
Yeah.
People steal things.
Yeah.
Do you know how we know that?
Because a nonprofit designed to help children with cancer.
Yes. And we have rules to deal with that criminality.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You deal with the criminality. What you don't do is call in the military.
Right. Right.
By saying the governor isn't doing his job.
Yeah. Doug, how do you think this plays out in LA? Are we headed into a summer that is similar to 2020, where we had protests in American cities all over the country. Again, while Donald Trump was president. Um, are we headed into something like that, or is this gonna stay contained to Los Angeles, or are we looking at something um, you know, much broader that lasts a long time? What's your sense?
My guess is that we're going to have a rolling set of public actions and protests. They're scheduled all over the country on Saturday under this banner of No Kings. We're going to be doing our own action in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We're going to be a part of it, Vote Common Good. There's these No Kings rallies. I think there's going to be, every time ICE decides to do a public show of force, there's going to be American citizens who are going to step out in the streets and do something about it. And I think if the comment from my wife going to bed last night is an indicator of the 60-year-old yoga teacher community, she said, I'm willing to get arrested for this. If it happens here or DC, I'm going. So, yeah. I think people are out of their minds. And look, Donald Trump's 2 presidencies have already been riddled with domestic distress.
Yeah.
And protests and riots. I mean, you think, as you mentioned, the murder of George Floyd by a police officer and what that caused around the world. January 6, 2021, both in Trump's presidency.
Mm-hmm.
June 2025, Donald Trump thinking things are so bad in California, he has to deploy the military, the Marines, who take a solemn vow.
Yeah, well, you're not gonna send, Space Force in there. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Donald Trump is deployed.
You know when Donald Trump didn't call the Marines? January 6th. Do you know when Donald Trump did not call for the Marines?
Yes. No,
or the National Guard? You know what? You know what Donald Trump didn't wait was for Mike Johnson to call for the National Guard. He took control of them as the President of the United States. I think we all should prepare to peaceably protest when this government uses its power to force its law enforcement agents, whether they work with Homeland Security or they work in the military, when they're forced by the power of the presidency to use their power against American residents. Look, if you want to arrest people who are in the country without documentation, there's a process for that. Because in this country, it's about law and order. You follow the laws in an orderly fashion. You don't say we're going to protect law and order by breaking the laws and doing this with such disorder. The thing that's happening right now in California is that the Marines and the National Guard don't know what to do. Because they're not supposed to be using the power of the military against U.S. citizens. So you've intentionally put them in a situation where they don't know how to complete the mission.
Yeah.
Rob, what if a Republican does again what Republicans have done in the past and fire weapons against U.S. military on U.S. soil?
Yeah, I mean, it's
what if they do it again?
Yeah.
Did you see that clip where the reporter from, I think, Australia was struck by the rubber bullet? She was reporting on the fact that they're using rubber bullets, and you see out of the side, guy shoots. I mean, I've stood in those in Minneapolis 5 years ago and watched them just zing rubber bullets right by my face.
Mm-hmm.
I walked right up to the police. Lots of videos on this if you ever want to see them on our YouTube channel. Looking him in the eyes. Wearing a love shirt and a clergy collar. Trying not to get shot. Getting maced.
Mm-hmm.
These guys were terrified.
Yeah.
There's not a police officer. There's not a National Guard member that wants to be aiming even rubber bullet rifle at U.S. citizens on our city streets. They don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They only do that when things in their mind have gotten completely out of control. And what everyone in California has said, including the governor and state officials, is this is not that.
Right.
This is not January 6th. They're not beating police officers with flagpoles that you, Donald Trump, thought was not something that required a response. You called it a beautiful day we would always remember. This guy. And then you pardon them. And then you have the gall, with all your sycophants, to go around and tell the rest of us about how you're going to pursue law and order.
Yeah.
By using the United States Marine Corps. What Marine? What Marine signed up for the Marines thinking, maybe I could go to Los Angeles and use the weaponry that the government's going to give me against U.S. citizens. And then on Saturday, maybe I can go and parade around Washington, D.C. on the good leader's birthday. This is so unbelievable. With your polyps, you probably won't live long enough to find out, but your children and grandchildren are going to be telling these stories and say, Gammy Vanessa, what did Poppy Rob do when they were when they had a parade, when they had a military parade at the same time they've deployed the Marines to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, can we get a comment put up on the screen? Doug Bowden just commented a second ago.
Pure trash. Should we put that one up there? Okay.
No. The one where he said Hitler was right.
I see Doug, that one.
Thanks for following along and watching the show today. Could you give us a little bit more information on what you mean by that?
Do you have your Hitler was right about everything hat? Do you have one of those hats?
Just
Doug?
Give us a little. We're not making any assumptions here, but Doug Bowden, we would really appreciate some more information. Hey, Doug, can we switch gears for just a minute?
Of course.
Because what is happening in Los Angeles is not the only really important thing that's taking place right now in the world.
Yes, okay.
The head of the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., fired all 17 members of the ad hoc committee of doctors that advises the Center for Disease Control on vaccines.
Of course he did. Ouch. I just hit my elbow.
Yeah, I mean, you're having all sorts of elbow issues lately.
The look on my face right there is that I hit my elbow.
News,
and I have to listen to Robert Kennedy Jr.
That we would take, accomplished, smart medical professionals off of a critical board, and replace them with, who knows who. I've got some suggestions for some people that I think could be on the CDC vaccine advisory committee that has just been gutted by RFK Jr. I want to nominate Hawkeye Pierce. I think Doogie Howser would be a real good addition to the board. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, would probably be good. I mean, we should have both of the Mick doctors, McDreamy and McSteamy.
Quincy.
Doug Ross. What's that?
Quincy. From the 1980s. That's medical examiner.
Heathcliff Huxtable. I mean,
Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper could be on.
Oh, fantastic, Dr. Pepper. Yes.
Again, truly the only qualification for being in the cabinet of Donald J. Trump's second term is that you are worse at your job than he is at his, because he will not let anyone be better than him at anything.
Yeah.
And if you're better at being bad.
Yeah. Cynthia would like House to be on the committee. I'm sorry, Cynthia. I don't think House is an American citizen. He's probably, I think, isn't he in the country legally, Dr. House?
Do you have to? Do you think you have to be?
I don't know. I've never watched House. It's one of the few medical dramas that we have not watched because my wife loves them.
She loves the medical dramas?
Oh, loves medical dramas. Have you watched The Pit? The Pit is a fantastic show.
No.
The Pit, yeah.
No,
it's a medical drama on HBO Max. Really, really good.
Hey, do you think there's going to be a gathering together of the Marines someday, and they're going to talk about what they did?
Battle of Los Angeles.
How they were deployed to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's dawned on me. Look, our RFK Jr. should not be in his role.
Okay. So we're just all of my things that are obvious now.
And to all of
the Browns are a bad football franchise.
And to all of my friends, and there are many, and I know many listen to this, who want to grant, well, he's done some good things. He wanted to get red dye.
Yeah, sure.
No, he doesn't get a pass on being so incompetent that he's removing people from the advisory group for the Centers of Disease Control because they support the efficacy of vaccines.
All 17 of them.
There isn't another thing you say. Yeah, but I'm really glad that he.
Yeah. Doug, one other thing.
We do have a Yabbutz, but we don't have a Yabbut on.
It's Yabbits, by the way, not Yabbits.
I've heard this. Don't know that I believe
I'd like to read a little article to you, Doug. I don't know if you saw this one. A Republican Florida state senator who co-founded the group Latinas for Trump is condemning and distancing herself from President Donald Trump's anti-immigration policies, calling them unacceptable and inhumane. This is not what we voted for. I have always supported Trump through thick and thin. However, this is unacceptable and inhumane, Senator Elina Garcia said in a statement Saturday. Garcia, whose district of Miami-Dade County is overwhelmingly Hispanic or Latino and voted for Trump during the last election, said she sides with the Trump's efforts to target immigrants who are criminals, but said his targeting of those seeking lawful citizenship is unjust. Hey, State Senator Garcia.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome.
This is what regrets look like.
Wow. Just wow.
I know that when I post things saying, hey, if this is what you voted for, good, but if not, you should raise your voice. There's always a bunch of people who are like, this is exactly what we voted for. Yeah, keep saying it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, look, voting, political parties, MAGA even, they're more like an airport than they are a line at a food truck. When you're in line at a food truck, you got a pretty good idea what's in the food truck, often a very limited menu.
Part of the appeal.
You know you're going to get what the food truck offers.
Yeah.
You can sort of look around at the other people and think, hey, here's the other people that are interested in the savory waffle cone with macaroni and cheese in it. It's the last thing I had at a food truck the other day. Savory waffle cone.
Yeah.
And some macaroni and cheese inside of it instead of ice cream. Delicious.
Sounds good.
Everybody else in line there, we were going to have the same thing. In other words, that's what we were in line for.
Yep.
That's not political parties. Political parties are like airports. Bunch of people there. Not for the same reason. Some people work there. Some people just got home. Some people are leaving home. Some people are passing through. We might all be in the same space right now, but going different directions, having very little in common other than the circumstances of flying or working have brought us together into this place. That's how political parties work. All of them. Even the libertarians. So when you say, this is what we voted for, you're acting as if there was a clear menu for the political party and you stood in that food truck line. I mean, you might say to yourself, I don't like connecting through Atlanta. It's just so big. But
I love connecting through Atlanta.
Just gotta. You might say to yourself, oh, let's not fly Frontier. I got to go through Denver. You might say, oh, Salt Lake City again. Here we go. Now, while you're there, you might have a wonderful time and say, oh, I love this airport. There's a nice little thing there. There's one of those massage chairs over there for $3.50 a minute. And I'm just going to sit down and have my legs rubbed by a machine. Sure. But you don't have to say, I love the airport because I'm here. You can just say, this is a place you have to be for a while you're flying. And look at all the rest of us. If you're wearing a MAGA hat, that's kind of like buying the shirt from the food truck. You know what you probably didn't buy? Was a Midway Airport T-shirt. When you connected on Spirit Airlines on your way to somewhere outside Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Yeah.
So it's obvious people don't support everything. We should not even have to name it.
Yeah, totally.
And we also should say, look, there's a whole lot of reasons people will stick with their airline even though they have to use that airport. So a lot of people are like, I don't want to fly some other, I'm not going to vote for the other party because I got to go through this airport. But you can say it, all of us, Democrats too, you can say it. It's okay to disagree with the political party that you support.
Yes.
I would dare say it is essential.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And to all of us who think, how can the MAGA people stay supporting Donald Trump even though they disagree with all these things? Because that's how it goes. Until someone just finally says, I'm never flying Spirit Airlines again. And everyone who's made that choice has felt good about it. Oh, yeah. Nobody's ever said, you know what I really miss? Spirit Airlines.
Yeah. Hey, can we just highlight one of the great comments ever posted? Peggy
well, just
comes
that.
Through
false.
Yeah, Alex is saying false.
Thank you,
Peggy said, if the Marines don't get you, the measles must. Well done, Peggy. Well done.
Yep. Pappy Rob, what was it like when the federal government deployed military soldiers on U.S. soil in Los Angeles and we stopped vaccinating for measles? What was it like to live in the 1930s?
I totally missed it because I was busy taking care of you, because that's when you contracted polio. Oh, man.
Amazing how people show their true colors, this comment says. The haters.
Yeah.
Or the hatters. Is that us? Are we the haters?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me tell you what I hate. I hate deploying military operations on U.S. soil. I hate attacking judges. I hate beating police officers with flagpoles.
Yeah. I hate a messy public breakup. That's not true. I love a messy public breakup.
You know what I hate? I hate unelected officials deciding to end programs put in place by Congress.
Totally.
Yep. Do you know what I hate?
I hate having
felons tell us they're going to remove criminals from the country. Yeah. Convicted felons who hangs his mugshot outside of the temporary office that he gets to work in public housing.
I hate having to cut off a lively discussion early because, I got to take a kid to swimming lessons. But.
You know what I hate? I hate the very country that funds Iran to destabilize the Middle East, giving gifts of airplanes to the sitting president of the United States. Oh. I hate that.
Hate that.
I guess my true colors are showing.
Yeah.
You know what I don't hate?
All the people in the chat?
Donnie Trump.
Hey,
I love the sinner. I hate his sins.
That's right. Michelle, Daniel, Jim, Squirrely Prepper.
Mike Peggy, Allen. For telling us that we're blaspheming the gospel of Jesus Christ by critiquing Trump. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you being around.
Wow. Joanne, Joyce, Cynthia.
Did you get JW?
JW. Alex, of course. Yabbit. Yaybits.
Anthony.
Jim. Jill. Jill was very active, just going after Mike there.
Yeah, thanks for being good to each other. By the way, we name all these people because some of you are watching on Facebook, some of you are watching on Twitch, some of you are watching on YouTube. We'd like for people to watch on Instagram, but,
Kevin.
Can't figure that out.
Joanne. Anthony. We want people to watch on Instagram?
Yeah, I'd love it. Can't figure it out. Oh, okay. The AI,
well, I am headed off to swim lessons.
Well,
not for me.
Keep your Thank you. You saw that coming, didn't you? I was going to say, keep your head in the water. Trust your breath. Hey, thanks, y'all. Thanks for being a part of this. If you're around Hershey, Pennsylvania, or want to be this weekend, we're going to be there Saturday and Sunday.
And next week, we are scheduled to have a really special guest that we're excited about. Candidate for the United States Senate in Iowa, J.D. Scholten.
Running against Graveyard Joni Ernst. Gravekeeper. All right, bye, everybody. Hey, and vote common good.